Hi, ghouls and goblins. This is Raven from Raven's Reviews, and welcome back to spooky season. You know it wouldn't be spooky season without me bringing in one of my favorites, cult classic, The Bride of Chucky. We are going to be doing a set inspired by none other than Tiffany Valentine and Charles Lee Ray, aka Chucky, the killer doll. I am so excited to do this, y'all. I had to put the movie on to get into the mood and do the set under the screams of Chucky and Tiffany's victims. For anyone that's not familiar with Chucky, which would be shocking to me, but maybe you're not a horror fan, Chucky is a classic, like a horror classic from the early 90s, and the movie was called Child's Play. Now, Chucky has had many resurgence. He is the demon doll that keeps on coming back to kill another day, but he met his match with Tiffany Valentine. Now, Tiffany Valentine was played by none other than Jennifer Tilly, and he literally met his perfect match. But before we get into the love story of Tiffany Valentine and Charles Lee Ray, we have to start at the beginning. So the series Child's Play, the very first movie, as I was saying, came out in 1988. The story revolves around a little boy named Andy, and his mother, working very hard, wanted to get him a good guy doll, which was all of the craze and the trend during that time. Now, unbeknownst to them, there was a serial killer that was killed during a shootout. There's a lot of death going on in this series. Charles Lee Ray is fatally shot in front of a toy store with the Heart of Damballa, which is an amulet and some voodoo teachings because Charles just has friends in high places. Charles decides to try to get his soul to transfer over to the doll that's beside him, and that is a good guy doll. Now, as all of this is happening, the store gets hit by lightning. Charles finally succumbs to his wounds, but not before transferring his soul and possessing the good guy doll that is no longer a good guy, if you catch my drift. So I just wanted to give you a little bit of a backstory on like how Chucky became Chucky, how he became possessed, and just essentially how he became the doll that never dies. One of the most amazing things about the Child's Play and Chucky fandom is that it has crossed decades and generations. So with the first movie, Child's Play, coming out in 1988, till now, 2023, we have a Chucky series, y'all, that completely encapsulates the entire universe, and not only that, brings back favorites like Tiffany Valentine, our boy Andy. Just anybody who is the who's who's throughout the series is not only backstory, but gets to do cameos and all sorts of things in the series. Not to mention all of the Chucky movies that have amassed throughout the years. So when I say that this is a horror cult classic, this ain't just me saying it. It's literally spanned for 35 years. So right now I'm just grabbing my Madam Glam goodies. I'm creating the perfect base because, as I showed you from the nail plug TO, I got the most darling Bride of Chucky nails, like the decals. So we are going to take these full wraps and I'm going to show you the best way to apply these. So let's get into all the magic. Now, I hope I'm not being confusing as I talk about Chucky as being a series, because not only is there a television series and reprise of the entire story that came out recently, but I call it series and movies because there is a total of 8 movies and then the television series. So it has unleashed an entire universe of goodies. Now, I do apologize. We have some construction going on in the house at the same time as I'm trying to do this voiceover. You know, your girl's trying to do it all. So if there's any loud noises in the background, I do apologize. I am trying to voice this over in my little studio. So as I was just giving a little bit of a backstory, I also want to explain what I was doing. So using my gorgeous Nicole J striper, I am just ensuring that my sidewalls and my cuticles are all snatched. I'm using the Perfect Black as the base. I went in with 2 thin coats of that gorgeous, this is by far my favorite. Like I think I say this all the time. If I was on a desert island, this is the color I would bring. Could just have black manis all day. But I started off with the foundation, which was the base coat, 2 thin coats of Perfect Black, and then, as it says and encourages in the decal instructions, I am going in with a very thin layer of base coat before, and curing that before I put on the decal, just to give it something to stick and kind of grip and hug to. Now, since this is working like in steps, I did make sure I worked very thin because I did not want to have any risk of bulking out the nail. So this is just the instructions. So it is essentially, you cut around the edges of your decal as close as possible. And then you go through the steps that I just said. You do your background color, you do your base coat, and then you just drop your decal into the water, face down, and then it doesn't even take many seconds. You get to water, like slide that bad boy image off and put it on the nail. Now, what's really like innovative and just very fun about decals is, like, you think, oh gosh, putting something wet on the nail, that's a horrible idea. Well, it's actually amazing. As the decal dries, it's almost like a tackiness begins. Like as it dries, it gets more tacky, and it essentially hugs like vinyl. Like it just hugs the nail, and as soon as it's completely dry, like all of that moisture evaporates, but you're left with this amazing decal that hugs the entire nail. If it's a nail wrap, or if it's just images, then you can place it anywhere you'd like. But what I think is really cool about this is, even if you wanted to make your cuticle somewhere else, you could either cut that image, or you could put the entire water slide down, as I do later on in the video, and just using a silicone tool gently, carve out your area. So it's very forgiving. I was so impressed with these. The only thing I had to note, and I do show it later on in the video, there was these tiny cracks. I believe either it was when it printed out through however long it had been sitting in the warehouse and fluctuating temperatures, the ink cracked on it. So that did provide a little bit of an issue when I did put them on all of my nails, because the uniformity, the cracks it wasn't giving me what I wanted. But no fear, because this is Bride of Chucky and there's all the blood. I used Sunset in Florida from Madam Glam and their dotting tool to kind of create a blood splatter, so that unified all of the nails, and any imperfections I was able to mask. So by no means am I saying anything negative about these decals. I truly believe it is either through shipping or it being maybe a little bit of an older product. There was some cracking to the actual images. But the one that had no cracking was this one, and I'm so glad I started off with this. This is Tiffany as the doll, and we're going to get into all of that magic shortly of how that even happens. Because as you saw in the start of the movie, Tiffany was a living, breathing, beautiful but very scary woman. So before I go continue geeking about the series, the only thing I wanted to say, tips and tricks wise, is to definitely make sure you've sized out your decal on your nail so that you don't have a lot of excess. And in doing the free edge, I really use a firm pressure to solidify and stick that around the free edge. I sealed everything with base coat. Using a one direction on that nail file, took off all of the edges once the nail had been cured, because I did not want any separation of church and state, separation of the decal and my free edge. So all of that being said, and also using that no wipe, lint free wipe to dry off the top of the decal, The only thing you don't want is, I find that if water's in the underside, that will dry and just adhere very nicely. But if too much water is on the top of the decal, that can affect the ink over time as you are rubbing and trying to affix it perfectly. So I really hope that these tips and tricks help you if you're using full wrap decals, and these are the Waterslide decals. If there's any questions you have on your application as you're doing your own water slides, feel free to ask in the comments. I will have no issue troubleshooting anything with you, but I thought this was such an amazing way to get an instant portrait. Now, as a character artist, you know, you can put up 7, 12, 30 hours into a set, but using these decals not only cuts out that time, but you can have something so intricate in a tiny space. So I absolutely love these. It is very important to note that you are working with a wet product, so ensure that you're giving it enough air dry time that is completely dry to the surface, but you'll be able to tell just by touch how dry and how much it has like hugged the surface, if you will. Because I will show in another nail, I place it down and I did not like where it was, so I actually just gently removed it and put it back on. So while it's wet, you have like a grace period, but as it begins to dry, you eventually, there's no grace. It is stuck to your nail, which is what we want, but you just got to make sure that you really put that down where you need it. As I was saying earlier, Charles Lee Ray is a prolific serial killer. This man, he is real hard to say. Like, he doesn't have many winning points, and it takes him many, many years to not only become, progressive, but to slowly show like teeny tiny parts of his heart. But besides that, he is an evil mother sucker. And the only reason why I say this is he actually ends up giving, he doesn't give birth, but Tiffany gives birth to a baby, and that is their biological child. And they are non-binary. And they end up being like this split Glenda situation. And at first, he does not have any tact. He is so ignorant. But later on in the series, and even like when we go into the television series, he becomes like very warm to them, which like melted my heart. He's still very imperfect character, and I would not want a father like Charles Lee Ray. But it is very interesting from the very beginning of the series until now, like the beginning of the movies leading up into this series, how much he does evolve. But Chucky is a very cold and calculated killer. And even he uses people essentially as pawn pieces to continue to get his murderish rage out. So what he didn't realize is he picked the wrong person in Tiffany. They say they picked the wrong bee. Yeah, he did. He thought that he could just say whatever he wanted to this little girl and throw her away, and no, he couldn't. And I say little girl, but she's a grown woman. Because Tiffany Valentine, she fully got the pieces of Chucky and Frankensteined him back together, and using the voodoo template, the summoning words, she tried to bring Charles Lee Ray back into the doll. So she did all of this because she thought she was bringing back her fiance in any way she could have him. Because after him passing, she's literally this entire time tried to locate the body of the doll just so that she could have her lover again. Now, when she got pieces of him, she literally got other doll pieces and Frankensteined him together. And luckily, she was actually able to get him, the soul of Charles into Chucky's body. But this is where I talk about Chucky being so cold. She expressed how she was so excited that he left her a ring, and he's like, no, that was from someone I killed. Do you think I would really marry you? Like, just cold AF. Like, you literally found the girl of your dreams. She is a serial killer. She's pretty. Like, what more do you want? I can't. A hot, crazy serial killer for another serial killer. That's like A dream come true, right? So in The Bride of Chucky, she actually ends up throwing him in like this playpen, and it's so uncomfy because the playpen essentially attaches underneath a table and has a padlock. So God knows, I hope she was not babysitting any children in said playpen. But she locks him in there, and she gets this popular doll of that then time, and I believe the doll's name was Belle. And she throws Belle in there, and she goes, "There you go. You wanted a bride, now you have one." Because she thinks this is hilarious. Like, stick it to Chucky, right? If he doesn't want to marry me, then I'm going to give him a doll. What? Like, you should have just put that doll into pieces or something. Like, there's going to be nothing good that comes of this. So she goes, and she has the most beautiful bath, bubble bath, which for a mermaid like me, I would have stayed in that bath for hours. But again, unbeknownst to her, Mr. Chucky, he has taken the ring off of Belle's neck, and he is using that gorgeous diamond, because it was not no cubic zirconia. He used that diamond, and he carved through the wood to escape. So not only is this murderous doll running around her home, do you one better. He throws, because she's watching Frankenstein, right? He literally throws the large television into the water, electrifying and killing her. And he performs the same ritual that has brought his soul into Chucky, and he has put her soul now into Belle. So at first, she is so incredibly upset. This is a huge violation. She literally has done everything for this man, and he literally killed her and then put her body into a doll. So she is not happy. But the whole master plan about turning Tiffany was now he has an unwilling partner in crime. Because after this whole wedding fiasco and him saying he never wanted to marry her, she was pretty much done with him. But now that her body is forced into this doll, he says, "Hey, now I have the perfect thing. We can go and get the amulet which was buried with my body, the heart of Damballa. We can go get that. We can get a lock of the hair from Charles, like Charles's body. And with all of these little voodoo goodies, we can cast the perfect spell and put our bodies back, like from soul into an actual body." So she's like, what can she say? She can't say no. She would rather be like a corporeal human versus a living doll. So she goes along for the ride. Now, of course, in brings our teen lovers, Jesse and Jade. They are living some Romeo, Juliet, Capulet nightmare. Their uncle wants to keep them apart. So, of course, the only logical step is for them to go, on this cross-country adventure and go get married in a chapel, because, that just sounds like the perfect thing to do. Let's go to Vegas. So how this all intersects and ties together is Jesse, who is Jade's partner, is actually the neighbor of Tiffany. And Tiffany asks Jesse, she calls him up because, of course, she has the same voice even if she's a doll. She calls him up and says, "Hey, can you come by my house? I have 2 dolls that need to be, delivered to X spot, and I'll give you $1,000. And because the young lovers need money, they thought, okay, this is a great idea. And then they get embroiled and wrapped up in all this. And every, town and every step of the way, of course, these 2 murderous dolls are just killing up everybody. And who's it going to look like? It's going to look like Jade and Jesse are the killers. So this just goes into a whole thing. And I absolutely love the campiness, and also, it's terrifying. There's certain elements of the Chucky movies that you cannot deny. Parts make you giggle, but there's some parts that are very scary. And just the thought of this, it's definitely something that can keep you up at night. Now, I really do apologize because my fur nephew, he is crying. There is all this banging going on between the construction and everything else. So I am just gonna leave this here. The rest of this will be a watch me work. If you guys have any more questions in, the perfect transfer for these full wraps, the decals, just let me know in the comments down below. But I thought that these were very user friendly and just a fun little way to get something so detailed on your nails, especially for nail artists and character artists that might not be as ambidextrous using their left hand, doing designs on their right. This would be a complete game changer, because not only do you get the detail, but you would definitely be able to do this with your non-dominant hand. Oh my goodness, y'all, I hope you guys enjoy this video oh so much. And if there's any other movies you would like reviewed in a set inspired by, just let me know. And I am so excited to share. During a live, I took polls from my beautiful nail family on movies they would like to see featured in a horror series. So this is different horror movies, and I'm either going to do a nailed it or a full set inspired by said movie. And if there's any movies or you weren't a part of that live and you would like to suggest a theme, a movie, please comment down below. But without further ado, we are going to affix Mr. Chucky here on my nails. Let's get to, and I'll be back.
And I can be your everything if you stay. Please just say I'm mine. I want you to love me. I need you to stay. Have you found another? Ooh, I want you to love me, and I won't make mistakes. Please just give me something. Ooh, I want you to love
My beautiful nail family, thank you so much for clicking on and watching this video. I would love to know down in the comments what you thought of this bloody good set. And again, if there's any movies that you would like to see featured in the upcoming series, then look no further, comment down below. Thank you again for being a part of all the magic, and I hope that this video was not only helpful, but that you found some tips and tricks to make your water slide technique and your transfer as perfect as possible. I am sending so much love this spooky season, and I cannot wait to see you in the next video. And for all Madam Glam products used will be in the description box below. Thanks again for watching.